Salutations, dear audience. Prepare to be inspired and empowered as we delve into the realm of business triumph and elevate your business. I'm Ed Jarecki, your host for today's enlightening episode. Thank you for being a part of this enriching experience. Our show is dedicated to enlightening and equipping business owners, professionals, and aspiring entrepreneurs like you with essential knowledge and insights from experts who've achieved success in their life and business. Today's guest exemplifies this mission. So make yourself comfortable, unwind, and let's extend a hearty greeting to our incredible guest today, Kirk McLaren. Kirk is the CEO of Foresight CFO, where he and his three-person CFO teams work to obliterate their client obstacles to growth, ensuring their customers generate higher revenue, more profit, and better cash flow, while increasing the value of their business and succession options. As Kirk joins us on the show, he'll shed light on what success means to him personally and how his definition has evolved over time, as well as one or two of his top challenges and the lessons learned associated with them. And finally, for today, we'll explore how Kirk has leveraged innovation in his business and other work to overcome challenges and achieve his goals. So join me in welcoming Kirk McLaren as we embark on another incredible episode, Elevate Your Business. And without further ado, welcome to the show, Kirk. It's great to see you again. How are you doing today?
And I just got to say thank you for having me here. I couldn't be more delighted. You and I have had a conversation. I feel like we resonate on a spiritual level, kind of the life's journey and what brought you here. So couldn't be more happy than be doing this with you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. To start with, could you share a little bit more about your business and yourself?
Yeah, from a self standpoint, if you hear an accent, I grew up in Houston, Texas, but I live out in Bethesda, Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C., and married. And I got two boys who happen to both be in the Army officers, pretty much doing some hard things, hopefully to make the world a little bit safer, which is, there's a lot going on right now. And pretty much from a business standpoint, it just always made sense, right? Even in high school, some classmates of mine had an idea about a lawn business and, jump in and, 3 years later, 1,500 customers, 75 employees, grows to 1.2 million. So for the business owners and entrepreneurs out there, if you feel it, if something makes sense, I mean, going to the ledge and jumping, it can make for a rewarding life. And you want me to say something about Foresight CFO?
Absolutely.
My journey, decades of working with mostly private companies, roughly 9 years ago, built and sold a company that wasn't mine, working with business owners, and I started getting kind of hit on the head. And that led to Foresight CFO, where Growth CFO, business building, where we get in with business owners who are generally underserved, and we literally help them figure out how to build a better business. A lot of times, you know how business owners get stuck, or they're working massive hours, but they're not getting the financial outcomes they're looking for. When something like that's going on, with a good chance we can help them figure out how to get unstuck, and even more important, how to get to that destination where it really makes sense.
My understanding is, as I was prepping for this, you actually use three-person teams because they bring different expertises to the table to help those business owners. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, first of all, most CFOs are really accountants with a big title. And most of the time, business owners don't enjoy talking to their CFO for that reason. They don't enjoy talking to their CPA who's preparing taxes. So growth CFO is something different. A growth CFO is going to start, destination, vivid vision, what makes for a really good life, where the business owner has the right purpose, meaning wearing the right hat, and also what level of active hours working in the business makes sense. I mean, is it 50 or 60? Probably not. What about 20? Can you make everything you need in 20 hours, which could free the business owner up to do other things they really care about in life, things, people, that kind of stuff. So the three-person team enables that. We reimagine what a CFO is to a growth CFO. Then there's a second CFO. So we're playing chess versus checkers. Two brains are better than one. And then there's an analysis and accounting team member who's doing legwork, doing analysis, mining for gold, using data, doing what CFOs are good at, but doing a lot of legwork that the CFO just wouldn't get to because the CFO is focused on that number one challenge front stage with the business owner. So it's just a different cadence, three-person team, lots going on backstage to bring this clarity and confidence on what might be the number one priority right now in the business. And then we work 90-day sprints, almost like in the technology world, that agile technology where it's very fast. And, don't get hung up on the perfect plan. If we know the destination, let's figure out a reasonable path to get there, and then let's take action, right? The detailed plan is in that 90-day sprint and week-to-week calibration with team members. So from a cadence standpoint, we come in when businesses are stuck, working too much, not making the money they need to. And then we get into this front stage, backstage cadence across 90-day sprint to 100% accountable, right? We're not consultants. We don't come and go. We want to literally finish the full flight with the business owner.
And that makes a lot of sense because in my experience, and I'll kind of recapture what you said, but from my own experience, there are accountants that are great at the numbers. They're great at looking at the balance sheets, the income statements, the cash flow statements, and all the other short range, long range planning, reporting, and stuff like that. But there's the other side of which is financial management. It's here's the data and here's what the data is showing, but the financial management is what are we going to do with this? And it's
Yeah.
that system and that process for managing financial transactions in alignment with whatever filters you've got in place to prioritize where your resources go. And so what I found is that some organizations are better on one side or the other. And what you're doing is actually bringing both of those capabilities to the table and balancing that against where that business owner is at, where they're going, and what their needs are. Is that a fair way to kind of express that?
And that is a great description. I'm gonna take some notes on that. It's exactly that. Like your controller, accountant, or CFO, who's really a controller, you can measure a quick ratio, like is a 0.89. So we have 89 cents of funds for every dollar of liability. But they can't tell you, look, if we just do thing 1, 2, and 3, we can actually have $1.50 for every dollar of payments like payroll and vendors and stuff. What would that be like where we can sleep at night and breathe? A controller accountant is just not that person, right? They're more like recording transactions, that kind of stuff. But the growth CFO, how do we get to that positive cash flow where you can feel really good? You have resources to do things you want to do in the business or in life. And the good thing about cash flow, not only does it help you pay your bills, for every additional dollar of cash, where that's that cash velocity in your business, you get a second payday on the value of your business. Your business just became
Yes.
more valuable because how it produces cash versus if you're flying too close to a tree. So with the right guidance, it's usually not too many things to do that need to be done in each 90-day sprint, like maybe 1, 2, or 3 things to really start to open things up.
That makes
Sometimes it
a
just
lot of
means,
sense.
sometimes 80-20, right? Analyzing data, customers, products, geography. A lot of times there's definitely roughly 20% of things that are really holding the business back. What about we just stop doing those? Even better, what 4% of clients are producing all that outcome, right? And who are they? Do we really know who they are and why they buy from us and why they keep coming back? Because that kind of data insight analysis could just literally unlock gold. Let's do more of those, right?
It makes a ton of sense. So as you've gone through your journey, you've achieved great success. How would you define success today?
I define success as a couple of components. One is a person is doing the work they were born to do. Like literally, I've come probably the hard way to become a more spiritual person than I was in my 20s, the life journey kind of thing. So everybody's here for a reason, even if they don't know it. In business, you can discover your purpose, make sure you have the right hat, both inside your business and outside your business. So that's kind of key. That's the guiding light. Like, why am I here? Why am I really here? And then being able to align the business to produce those outcomes for the business owner and their team members and their clients. So that's first and foremost. And then time. What if I can make all the money I need, active hours in my business, 1 day a week, 2 days a week? What else could I do in life, right? And some people want to do recreation. Other people, in my case, I want to do the life program to help other people have a great life beyond Growth CFO business building. And then financial freedom, right? You have all these ideas in your business or at home, your bucket list, but prosperity matters. Having the financial resources, having sufficient money for the expected and then the unexpected, right? It's a good place to be. Maybe for me, I'm thinking about multi-generational development. I intentionally did not say multi-generational wealth because I'm a trustee for certain families, and that just passing money, generally speaking, doesn't have a good impact. So those kind of things. And I'm going to add physical health, because you could have all those things. You have great relationships, people you love, people who love you, but you can't move. If you're
Right.
laid out, it just became a lot less rewarding to be on this journey kind of thing. So I think physical health is way up there. I'm 54 now, so getting out of bed isn't what it used to be, right? I'm like,
I
man,
can relate to that.
yeah, it's an Olympic event. I mean, they got to warm up, put the feet flat, make sure they're even.
Do some extra stretches.
Yeah, like wow. I remember like your 20s, sleep for 3 hours, get up, go do a day, right? And but the journey is interesting. So one more aspect, I think like people who've been on a journey ahead, because when you talked, you had a journey and different forks, and you went one way versus the other. Being able to really take time, I'm very focused on young men. My sons, they're 22 and 26, and they have a peer group, or they happen to be Army officers, that peer group. But I'm really focused on how do you help young men learn what older men like myself and you, what's the journey? What could it look like? What options? How does that play out? How do you make a relationship if you decide to get married that really counts, right? So that gives me a lot of joy. And that goes back into the business. When a person knows those things about themselves, now we know what kind of business to build. We know what is the right hat for the business owner, what's the right level of household income and value in the business for that second payday, and how to, from A to B, what's the right flight plan to get there. It just gets a lot clearer if we really think about the life, and that tells us how to build the business. People are looking forward to Monday, right? I mean, thank God Monday's here.
So it's constantly a balancing act, but it continues to balance towards all those different pieces. Your life, your time management, your ability to spend that time the way you want, your business, current wealth, its existential future wealth, its legacy wealth, and
Yeah.
then our health is a component of that as well. And so we get to spend our time the way we want in a healthy way and have the financial means to get there doing something that we love, that we have a passion around. Is that a fair way to express
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. And I think from our conversation, is something like that relatable to you?
Absolutely. And let's start the next question because it's really that journey that starts. So if you look back 25 or 30 years, how has your definition of success evolved over that time?
Yeah. So early on, the law of the caterpillar, early on, it's working hours. I was out of grad school, out of the Army, I was a behavioral scientist in the Army, enlisted during the first Gulf War, left there to go to grad school, then had the language requirement. So I went to Venezuela because with my language aptitude, I can tell you for a fact, I am not going to learn a thing in the classroom, right? It's just not going to happen. So I went to Venezuela to teach English, learn Spanish, and I met somebody, right? So my wife, Nazarit, and came back and got married, had our kids and stuff. And back then, it was like head down. I mean, I feel like when I look back, I had blinders on. I could only like a beeline, like even commuting to and from work, I couldn't see my peripheral. And my work was the same way. I was very beeline, task orientated, driver, right? My personality is a driver, and not really connecting with the people, right? Slowing down and really understand where they're coming from and what's causing them to play small versus be the person they were born to be. So I would describe myself something like that, right? Definitely responsible and analytical and all that kind of good stuff. And then the flip over, where it's my entire life for Foresight CFO, the Growth CFO, I'm here. It's a huge leap of faith for a CFO to step into the growth CFO world. Like, what is a CFO doing? Talking about the vivid vision of your future self and that destination flight plan, what really matters to you, much less working with the peers across the company. How do we work with the sales and marketing team as a peer to help them be more effective, to help them look good, right? Using some of our unique skills with data and this kind of thing to really elevate them. I mean, as a CFO, yeah, I worked with those folks, but I didn't work in that manner with them to elevate them. It was more of a CFO coming out of the ivory tower, poking at things and make people look bad, and not intentionally, but I was driving a result. So night and day how do I approach peers where they have more security? They're actually doing better. They're making more money. I mean, what CFO would ever ask how to help you make more money, salesperson, right? That put growth on us.
But that's a wonderful definition of what I would consider today a great CFO, a partner in that journey to achieve success for that business.
I'm going to add to, I grew up rugged Texan, self-made man, all this kind of stuff, go do yourself. So I didn't know jack about collaboration, like for the better part of my life. And then come to understand, Arnold Schwarzenegger wrote a book recently called Useful. And he has a chapter in there about the self-made man. And he's hilarious. He talks about, you can call me this, you can call me that, but don't call me a self-made man. And then he goes into all the people that have been involved with him in life and he's been involved in. And I think that's profound, where, I mean, how much better are any of us at any stage of our life if we're collaborating, listening, taking things in to figure out what's right for us, than trusting that and taking action on it, right? And sometimes it feels like you go into a ledge, especially business owners. Sometimes it's like you're walking on a ledge if you're a current business owner, but you jump, not knowing all the how. You kind of get your what, the why, your motivation. And when a person does that in collaboration, getting ideas, kind of stuff, the thinking so much richer and clearer. And that's it. I'm gonna say the counterpoint, but still never think somebody else. If you have an idea and somehow you can see it, you can feel it, doesn't mean other people will. As a business owner, I mean, imagine Steve Jobs asking people, "What would you like to see?" They never would have said that little thing that holds 10,000 songs that later became the iPhone. That
Yeah.
totally disrupted the market, right? They couldn't see what Steve Jobs sees. And that's true about business owners, entrepreneurs. People can't, you're the architect of your business. You're the only one that can see what you see. And so just know that you collaborate, but doesn't mean somebody else has the right answer. You're just getting perspective and how what you're doing might be received, and it might be opportunities and pitfalls to avoid. I think that as I coach the young men in the mastermind, that's one of the key things is build real relationships, right? Figure out what the other person needs so you can help them. Really do it, be your authentic, not be you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, there were a great number of great messages in that. And as you're talking, I'm sitting there thinking about some of my own experiences traveling down those roads from a vision perspective, believing that, yeah, we could turn that building into something really cool. And people going, what are you
What are you
thinking?
talking about? Yeah, you can knock it over, demolish it.
And we wound up, getting my vision done, but and they all supported me through it. But initially, man, it was just interesting, just kind of remembering the reactions to that. It'd be wonderful also to have Arnold Schwarzenegger on the show because I have not read his book. I did see it out there useful, but I have watched him over the years and followed him. I read one of his early books. And my guess is his definition has changed quite dramatically over time too.
I think so. That's the beautiful thing about being, as you know, we're at the period of the rise of the machines. And the beautiful thing about humans is we don't get it all at first, right? Even if you're an athlete, easy example. I mean, we don't get out there and run the 4 minute mile. We have to, by the way, I've never done that. Right. And we sacrifice. We go to sleep early instead of hanging out with our friends. We hit the pool when it's 4 a.m. and it's cold. We sacrifice the foods, that are the bells ringing and we're salivating. And so that's the beautiful thing about human, the journey, right? Imagine if you started out and you were the same person then that you are now. I mean, wow, there's not much happened in between, did it?
Exactly. Agreed. And so, as we've talked about that, we've already started to allude to some of the challenges. What are one or two of the top challenges and the lessons learned that you'd like to pass along to our audience?
Yeah, the number one challenge, and it literally sent me at Foresight CFO, it sent me soul searching, like what the hell going on here, kind of stuff, multiple times. And it's the difference between a person with a fixed mindset, meaning they're going to stay in comfort zone no matter what, even if there's a better way that's proven, versus the learning mindset, where you say, wait a minute, better way? How do I do it? And we take steps, right? And even if I don't have it mastered, by taking steps, they can get to continuous mastery. And then in that performance zone, the biggest obstacle, I thought so wrongly that I could take a reasonable, either director of finance or a CFO. And I'm pretty intentional. I'm a systems person, so the certification program with side-by-side work, getting into a client, helping clients. I thought that a reasonable person could do that, and I found out, I learned the hard way. I mean, really hard, like painful. No, from a maybe 1 out of 17 in a recruiting process, maybe. Right? And then out of 3 people who start on that journey to become a growth CFO, 2 will make it. And the other ones, no matter what, from a learning, teaching style approach kind of standpoint, man, they are not going to move out of comfort zone, which means they're doing basic block and tackle work well, traditional work well, but that's only 20% of what really helps the
Right.
business owner.
Absolutely great.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. But budgets, cash management, making sure the accounting foundation is strong. Those are necessary things. But no, I never heard in my life, though I wish it was not true, that I never heard a business owner. We call budgets flight plan budgets, make it more exciting, running scenarios to get to a destination. So it's more useful.
Right.
But a budget is still a budget. Okay. And I've never in my life met a CEO who wakes up and says, "Oh my God, today's the day. I'm so happy. Today we're going to budget, right? I can't wait." Right. Right.
Nope, never.
Never. Generally speaking, they don't read the language of the spreadsheet. That's not their world. It's an unfamiliar tool. Financials make them feel not smart. These are smart people, right, who have some courage to start a business and see it through. So for all the right reasons, that just doing that block and tackle stuff, it's useful because yeah, you can actually engineer. Well, what if? What if? You mean if I stop doing 80% of what I'm doing, I can double my household income? Yes, you can stop doing 80% of what you're doing and double your household income. It's a fact, right? Because the number story point that out. So that fixed mindset, man, it's tough. And I've yet to see somebody who's truly fixed because it's a fear thing, right? They step outside what's already been proven to them in their own career and experience and expectations. It's a dangerous place, right? They might mess up. They might get the wrong answer. And the answer is yes, you might.
So there's a tremendous number of real nuggets of wisdom in that. And one of them is identifying, hiring, and supporting the right person. They've got to have that aptitude and ability to grow from just that basic blocking and tackling. If they really want to be a growth CFO, they've really got to be able to open up that world, that understanding, and take calculated risks with their peer group in collaboration, including with the CEO, to help enable their success, the business success, but leveraging the numbers, the real data in which to drive that.
Yeah.
So, right person with that aptitude of a growth mindset. And then the second thing I grabbed out of that was developing them. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're rarely going to find that person that can run the 4 minute mile out of the gate. And so once you've got the person with the right aptitude and that ability to see the bigger world, it's developing them along that journey and helping them ultimately get there.
Yeah.
Anything else that I missed in that you would want to highlight as here's a lesson learned?
Yeah, that's great. So let's add one more thing. Even when the CFO becomes a growth CFO and they're in the performance zone doing some remarkable stuff with their respective client and team members, there's still a thing that we call continuous mastery.
Yes.
And that has never been more true than now. I mean, just on the technology front, there's AI, like here already, robotics that are already way better than my physical body will ever be. Then they're followed by blockchain, which fundamentally changes industries. And then there's the Web3, where you own your data, you stay private instead of Amazon doesn't own your data anymore. Facebook doesn't own your data anymore.
Right.
You can do transactions with people you don't even know who they are with a high level of trust. So what does that do? And somewhere behind that, when we spoke, we talked about quantum computing. You were filling me in on that. And like what you were laying down for me, it's such a paradigm shift. AI, where you literally have AI do all the legwork. Instead of having 10 people, you have one person. And that one person needs a different skill to be able to guide the AI to do all the legwork, finish what's being done the last mile, and be able to communicate that to other humans who use the outputs way more than by technocrats somewhere in the business. That's just one example of this disruptive way we work and educate universities, the way they train students, high school, the way they train students. Then blockchain's the same, and Web3 is the same, and robotics.
Each
And
revolutionary in their own area, but combined, it's going to take humanity to levels that we can't even, in some ways, imagine. And I follow Peter Diamandis and Future Loop. I've mentioned that on a previous episode. And all the amazing things around desalination of water to create clean water, food production, everything that really is meaningful to all life on Earth, all humans on Earth. I just think that's absolutely incredible. And we wouldn't be enabled to do this without these technologies. But it
Yeah.
does create, and we can talk more about this in a little bit when we hit the innovation topic, but it's one of those things that does provide some interesting opportunities and for some concerns and some risks. And I get it. I think that there are, especially with AI. This is the first time we've had a number of people on this show, and you can just Google it out there
Mhm.
and you can pop up with here's the pro side, here's the con side, here's the risk side, here's the reward side. And the reality is that if we're not taking advantage of it, if we don't understand these things, then we're going to be left behind the eight ball when it comes to actually being able to achieve ultimate success and enjoying success within our daily journeys.
So that more than ever, being intentional about continuous mastery, I would definitely use something like AI every day. And then I would ask, what can I eliminate from my work? What can AI eliminate? For example, from my work, I literally be very intentional about asking questions and taking this step. Well, let's automate this part of what we're doing. And pretty useful to have an idea of where it's going to the extent that that view is developing real time for all of us. But it's huge. I mean, energy, all that kind of stuff can be better solved with these technologies we're talking about.
So we've already started that conversation around innovation. Let me ask the question, how are you using innovation today in your business?
Yeah. Beyond kind of the human capital, the talent, how we develop each other and that kind of stuff, we created what we call the Freedom Platform. And my team members, when I started Foresight, even before COVID, I had to figure out, do I go traditional where I had to have the right team members in my neighborhood working with clients that are pretty much all in my neighborhood, so it's all in person, or do I want to be able to work with any business owner anywhere in the world? You'll get the best talent and bring them together in a way that's effective. So that led to us creating the Freedom Platform. And it embodies the best practices and methods we're talking about, like get clear on destination and then measurable objectives, financial and non-financial. And how do you, the flight plan, like the flight plan components are winning new customers, keeping customers, people capacity to do the level of work that the client needs for their clients, and access to capital, and then financial performance are kind of the five, we call them obstacles, but they're the five activities that need to be done well to have a successful business where you have the household income you want and the value, and you can build a business that's not dependent on you. So you have freedom of time where maybe it's 2 days a week or 5 days a week, but reasonable hours in your business. So the Freedom Platform. So now it's all built in. You have the flight plan with all the components, destination, those key activities. We highlight the habits, the financial habits we're teaching and establishing in the business. Like it is reading the financials like a scoreboard. It is the flight plan budget where you can run through scenarios to figure out the best path. And it's the managers getting the skills to do that, right? And it's easy and effective. It doesn't take hours. It takes 15, 20 minutes to update your budget for the next 12 months because you got it. You know the numbers. And then the dashboard. How do you bring the numbers, preferably daily, where if a team member logs in, they can see where they're at for what they control, red, green, yellow. They can take action proactively. They don't need the manager or the business owner to come down and micromanage, and they don't have to. The business owner doesn't have to wait to catch stuff because the team members have it. So the Freedom Platform does all that, where it brings it all together. And then for new stuff, there's project management level follow through, a task level project management, not build a battleship Gantt chart, but just very task level. You know, Kirk do 1, 2, and 3 due dates, and every day people log in, they can set their priorities very intentionally based on what needs to be done. So that's a huge piece of evolution or innovation.
Yes, absolutely. I've managed budgets of all sizes, and having something like that, that was always kind of the vision, systemized capability. I think that's absolutely incredible. Awesome tool. Where do you see innovation going in the future for your business?
It's exactly what we're talking about. So these pillars that we're talking about, they're in continuous evolution mode. How do people help people do better? So that's continuous evolution mode. But now it's that discontinuous evolution. Like we want to get very intentional for ourselves and our clients. You know, how are we using AI, robotics, Web3, and blockchain now? How do we expect it to be used 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out? So we start having that foresight for both us and our clients. That's the biggest area. There's lots of unanswered questions. I know that there's accounting systems that have blockchains accounting systems. If the company's being audited, it takes a lot less effort to audit because you have the blockchain ledger versus people created ledgers. So those things, but even more important, can a business do different transactions? For a business doing something with their customers, are there more things they can do with their customer? Because maybe there's blockchain that enables certain things and makes it more effective and streamlines processes. It makes the trust and verification higher where you don't need each intermediaries, right? Maybe, right? And so that's the biggest area. There's more like unknown question marks, but since there's more unknowns, let's be even more intentional about how to figure that puzzle out for both what can we do now using these technologies effectively, and what do we expect that, the next intervals down the road so that we're ready for it.
Yeah, and it ties back to something you said earlier, which is continuous learning and development. It's we have to continue understand the industry and what's going on, understand the technologies related to your business, your industry as intimately as possible, understand your customers. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier as well. Your current customers, know how to get new customers, know what it takes to retain your customers. And so each one of those things it requires data, it requires insight, it requires focus. There's some just absolutely tremendous artisans out there that produce wonderful goods and services. But if they're not playing in each one of these, if they're not continuously learning and developing what's going on around their business that could impact their business, that they could either use as an opportunity or have to defend because somebody else is using it to increase their market share at their expense. So how are they managing that as inputs into it and then being intentional relative? What is this telling me? And what am I going to do about that? And I love the concept that you also talked about, which is the sprints. Focus on that one, two, three key things within a defined period of time. Focus and get those done. And it's that balance of understanding where you're going, the plan as to how you're going to get there. But the sprint focus allows the ability to prioritize and to focus on those few activities using, again, something you said earlier, the 80-20 rule, to provide the biggest benefit for the least amount of overall effort to get things done. Because
Yeah.
organizations will have these huge laundry lists. And even if you try to prioritize them, they add new, they're expecting everything to get done all at once. They don't really balance the resource against what they're trying to accomplish. And that overwhelms and creates some significant challenges.
That's a great point. I believe I never checked this to see if it's true. I believe the word priority, it was up until recently, it only had a singular version. You can have a priority, singular. You can have other things, secondary thing, third thing, fourth thing, whatever, but only one priority. Then recently, I think it's the 1950s or something, it became plural. And the laundry list is it's a huge mistake. Even if you
Agreed.
finish everything on the laundry list today, the laundry list is going to start to reestablish itself tomorrow because the world will never be done. There will always be more. So the skill is to be focused. Like, where do we want to end up? What's aligned with that? I'm recapping some things you said, like 80-20, what really matters, what's driving the outcome. Well, let's do more of that. But the numbers give a level of clarity and confidence about making the right decision. But it's hard to say no to things if you don't really know what's driving the outcome for your clients and for your team members.
Agreed.
Right. So the 80-20, just like with the clients, the same kind of thinking. Who's really producing? Why are there roughly 20% of people producing 80% of the results? Who are they? What are they doing? There's probably some best practices there, both in terms of how they approach their work and who they are, like their DNA, what moves them. And you can harvest those best practices, right? As you continuously, wow, this produces that. Well, how is this business harvesting best practices in some form of playbook that's useful to everybody else, right? We're intentionally cultivating that know-how versus it's all in somebody's head and something happens to that person or they resign, which is normal in life. Then you're 6 months behind. Now you're set back 6 months and reinventing the wheel. Not a good way to run a business.
Agreed. And so we've talked about a whole lot of things today. If there was one item that you could leave our audience and say, of everything we've talked about, please consider this for your business journey and your success, what would that be?
Yeah, I would literally say consider what a growth CFO could do for you. Because in most cases, it's an unknown capability for businesses, the type of business we serve. It's unknown that they could actually have that capability on the level that makes sense for them. And the seed is there, the need is there, but no one's in it, and it's a blind spot. Most of the time, people don't even know, right? So unawareness. So I would consider it because the right growth CFO is going to give the business owner and team so much more confidence about what are the right options and making the decision to do the right thing at the right time and the follow through. So you're getting an outcome that you expect to get. And when things are on or off, which things will always be on or off, the team members are seeing it early and they're making small course corrections instead of waiting until the end of the month or waiting until the end of the year, which it's too late.
Well, I want to thank you, Kirk. This has been an amazing conversation today, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, but and I really love talking to you. So I look forward to in any capacity next time we have a chance to talk.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and a special thank you to our incredible guest, Kirk McLaren, for sharing his insights, experiences, and success tactics with us. We hope this conversation has left you inspired and motivated to embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship with vigor, innovation, and adaptability. Remember, success comes in many forms, and it's essential to define it for yourself. Take the lessons shared by Kirk to heart as you navigate your own entrepreneurial journey. Embrace change, seek out opportunities for growth, and always be willing to adapt to the ever-evolving landscape of business. Thank you once again to our phenomenal guest speaker, Kirk McLaren, and thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time as we continue exploring the stories behind incredible entrepreneurs. Stay resilient and stay innovative, everyone. Have a wonderful week.